What's up,
Hey,
Super?
Roxy, hey.
You are live.
Yeah, we are live on Facebook, Instagram.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Roxy.
Watching comments on something.
Not yet. We'll be doing comments in a second. Yeah, you
I
should be
almost have better.
Well, yes, you can do it. We're on comments. So everybody, welcome to Whiskey Live. We are in the process of sharing. We will get going in a couple minutes. We have Gregg Snyder, Master Distiller of Chicken Cock Whiskey. What are we doing here?
You're tangled in the cord.
Oh, I'm tangled in the cord. Master Distiller of Chicken Cock Whiskey. We'll get ready. We'll get ready in about two more minutes. We'll go live 9 o'clock, but Super Nash is doing the sharing to all the Facebook groups. Now, turn that down.
I was.
Okay. So everybody remember that if you are on Facebook and you want to comment, please state your name when you comment, because some of the Facebook users from some of the groups, there's Federico, hello. And then some of the comments from some of the groups do not show up as who you are. So each time, once you get going, make sure you let us know so that, oh my God.
Who let the dogs out?
Yeah, that was it right there. So
Yeah.
we're almost ready to go live. We're still sharing, but we have Gregg Snyder of Chicken Cock Whiskey tonight for the tasting of Island Rooster, the newest release.
So excited.
From Chicken Cock. It is a rum barrel finished rye. We are super excited tonight to be able to taste this, courtesy of Gregg. I mean, this bottle here, thank you so much, brother, for sending this up. We're so excited. I did pour off a couple samples off to some people and everybody. It's been good reviews and good rave reviews, but we are getting ready. Let's see. Are you almost ready there? And then, so we have Super Nash right here sharing. Once again, if you're on Facebook and you're watching and you want to leave a comment, please let us know who you are on your comment itself, so that we can put it up there and make sure everybody knows what's going on, because some of the groups that we share to are not connected to the live feed, but come up as a Facebook user.
Yep. Shout out to Federico.
Yep. Yes, Federico. He basically helps us. We are on Zabby, as everybody knows, and then also Facebook and YouTube Live tonight. So bear with us, but we're going to, in about 2 seconds, start this tasting of Chicken Cock Island Rooster Rum Barrel Rye.
All right. We're almost there.
We're almost there. Oh, really? Oh, I did. Why?
You got to turn your ringers up.
Yeah, I got to put this on theater. It won't do it. But anyways.
I can make it stop.
Yeah.
I will go deal with it.
Okay. All right, but are we almost there?
Almost there.
I love how that happens. I will give the introductions in 2 seconds. All right. We're sharing to Facebook. We're almost there.
Yay.
Live. We're having Super Nash do it because for whatever reason, when I share directly from this feeds, for some reason, we don't get the same
Coverage.
Yeah.
Oh, we're out to Canada.
Yeah. Yes. Really? Okay.
Drink bourbon, eh?
Let's put that one up.
Hey.
There we go. And Cuba, Canada. This is my real name. Hello, everybody.
This is my real name, so all we get is Facebook user.
Yes. That's why we would like you to say your name, but not say your real name, but your actual name.
Unless
I'm confused.
Did they say they were in French Canada?
Yeah, there you go.
No, I got trough mobile. My tank's all troubled.
All right. So, anyways, hello, Vancouver, Canada. Right?
Oh, yeah, Vancouver.
Greetings, Vancouver.
All right. So, anyways,
gosh, we're coast to coast.
All right. Here we go.
We're all over.
All right,
Worldwide.
it's time to start. I actually
Vancouver.
should be.
Yeah.
It's time to start this broadcast. Once again, everybody, when commenting, please leave your name in your comment so we know who you are, because there's only a few of the Facebook pages that are hooked up to where we get a name. So that way we can give a shout out properly. All right, everybody. Welcome to Whiskey Live.
Whiskey Live.
All right.
The live tasting event every second and fourth Friday of the month. And tonight we have a very special guest. We have Gregg Snyder, Master Distiller of Chicken Cock Whiskey.
Hey, welcome,
We
Greg.
also have Super Nash.
Super nice job.
Yeah.
If you MFers want to introduce yourself, feel free.
Well, okay.
Last time I
mean,
got yelled at, so introduce away.
he said I could feel free. That's a little awkward
that's a
with
little
the
awkward,
camera
yeah.
going.
Oh my
I know. And then he's like,
Well,
forcing
sorry.
me.
Well, I'm Roxy. Everybody knows me. Hi.
I am Tiny.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I am.
Whiskey.
And I'm Xavier.
All right.
Right.
Welcome to this live tasting. Tonight we are tasting the Island Rooster, the newest
Woo, yeah.
from Chicken Cock. It is a rum barrel rye finished rye.
Whiskey.
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah, exactly. So we're excited. Gregg, do you want to give us a little direct back insider info on this particular expression?
Yes, sir. I sure will. But first off, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this again. I always have a blast with you guys. You're so much fun. And you know what? It always seems to work out in the end, no matter with the flub ups and whatever. But it's great. I love it. It's all part of the fun. But so yeah, let's tell you a little bit about this rendition. You know, so we every year, Chicken Cock Whiskey, we try to come out with some limited time offerings. A couple of years, you know, in addition to our flagship brands being the Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey and the Chicken Cock Kentucky Straight Rye. So this is one of our LTOs. And so last year, you know, I really like our rye whiskey. I love the spice. I love the peppery notes. And then you get some of that caramel vanilla on the back of the palate towards the finish. And it has a great finish too. And I thought, you know what? I think if we could finish this in something and give it a little enhancement from some sweetness. So that's why I started thinking maybe the rum barrels. I like a good quality, aged rum. And so started looking, investigating, was able to procure 25 rum barrels. And they showed up at Bardstown Bourbon Company, where we make our whiskey, last May. So it's been over a year ago, actually, first part of May. So I went down there when they were delivered, and I pulled the bung in each one and nosed them to make sure, you know, none of them had turned rancid and sour or anything. They were all nice, sweet, freshly dumped barrels, had all good rum smell to them. And so we put our rye whiskey in those barrels. And at that time, the rye whiskey was about 3.5 years old. And I would check it every month to see how much sweetness, how much rum flavor it was picking up. Because, you know, one of my biggest concerns with finished whiskeys, you got to be real careful that you don't allow the finished product, like the rum, to overtake the profile of the product. You know, all too often, you know, people leave it in there too long, and that can happen. You want to maintain the characters of the base whiskey that you put in there. You just want to enhance it with the flavors that you're getting out of the finishing barrel. So I taste it every month. And about 5 months, I said, wow, this is close. And so after 6 months, I said, we got to dump it. So this was back, and you got to remember, we put that rye in last May. So November, it was 6 months. I said, we need to dump it out now. Well, Grain and Barrel Spirits, who owns Chicken Cock, they really, in their sales plan, hadn't planned on bottling it till the first quarter of 2022. And so I went ahead and had Bardstown Bourbon Company dump the whiskey out and put it in a tank and hold it until it was time to, in the first quarter, when we actually bottled it. So again, it's our rye whiskey, of course, 6 months, and the TTB actually changed some of their laws. Now you can actually include the length of time that the whiskey sits in a finishing barrel. Previously, if it came out of the barrel at 3.5 years old, you had to claim it was 3.5 years old if it was just a base whiskey. When it goes into a finishing barrel, it's called a DSS, a distilled spirit specialty, and so you don't have to claim an age statement on a DSS. But anyhow, being in there 6 months, it's over 4 years old of aging total now. So when it went into the bottle. Likewise, like I do on all the other renditions of Chicken Cock, we played around and tried sample different proofs. Now, typically, I start high proof and I work my way down until I feel that it's the alcohol burn has subsided, and then you get all the flavors kind of overtake the profile. With this one, I started at like 86 proof, at 90 proof, 92 proof, 93 proof, and they were too diluted. So this bottle is actually at 95 proof. What you're sampling tonight is actually 95 proof. So at 95 proof, to me, that was a sweet spot for this whiskey. It allowed the flavors to really overtake the profile. We didn't, over dilute the flavors at 95 proof. So it's really much difference between 95 proof and 93 proof, night and day. It was unbelievable, the difference. So what we're tasting is 95 proof tonight. The bottle itself that you all showed earlier, I mean, this is one of the pre-prohibition Chicken Cock bottles, replica of the pre-prohibition bottle. You can see the starburst embossing on it. Of course, back in that time, it was a pint size, and it has the the metal jigger cap that you can use for a shot glass if you want to. It still has a cork finish. But this is what we do most of our limited time offers. Not all, but majority of our LTOs we bottle in that bottle. Again, I was so pleased the way this turned out. I couldn't wait to bottle it. I got to sample it going forward, all throughout the process. And I always sample it at barrel proof to make sure that it's getting the flavors that I want to. And then, as I said, before we bottle it, that's when we kind of experiment and really try to find the sweet spot where the best bottling proof is. So, of course, a lot of companies, well, let's bottle it at 80 proof or 86 because you can get a heck of a lot more, cases per barrel. But that's one of the beauties of grain and barrel spirits. They've kind of given me the flexibility to call the shots on that. And so this one in particular, like I said, we decided on 95 because to me that's where the best spot was, but you got the full impact of the flavors that are available without over diluting it. So, would you like to smell it, taste it? How you want to proceed, Jeff?
Let's
Yeah,
nose
well,
it. Let's give the nose.
The mash bill on this is 95.5, right?
That's correct. The rye used in this is 95 rye, 5% malted barley. That's our rye mash bill. And, I think we've had a discussion before on a different show. I never was a big rye fan. I was a managing director at Wild Turkey Distillery and vice president of Austin Nichols for over 10 years. And the rye we had there had like about 35% corn in the mash bill. And I didn't, and quite honestly, Jimmy Russell would tell you the same thing. I don't think Jimmy really cared for it either, but it had a bitterness, a harshness to it that just didn't sit well with my palate. But as we were developing our rye for Chicken Cock, I started tasting some of these 95.5s. I said, you know what? That's the mash bill we're going to go with. I love the spiciness and the peppery notes that rye brings about. And you don't need the sweetness of the corn. You're going to get enough sweetness out of the caramel and the vanilla flavors from the barrel itself. So anyhow, 95.5 is a mash bill. And again, it's our rye, which I think is fantastic.
Well, I can tell you the combination of rye spice and the sweet nose that rum usually has, almost like perfume sometimes, is exactly what's coming off of this.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It is.
Amazing nose.
You really can pick up that rum just enough to not just to enhance it, as I said. I don't want to overpower it, but you're right.
This would be like a really green rye without the rum blended in there, and now it's almost got the way I describe the nose is tangy.
Well,
it really has a great nose.
I'm picking up, honestly, if at Christmas time, that ribbon candy it's a peppermint cinnamon ribbon. It's kind of like in the shape of a ribbon. Yeah. And I smell that.
Very light.
My grandma used to buy it for 5 years.
Yeah, I mean,
light cinnamon. Sweet
oh my
cinnamon.
God.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you get the one thing that you do get is a nice is I wouldn't say a black pepper. It's like a white pepper.
Yeah, it's a white pepper.
You know, and then
I agree. Yep, I agree.
but then you get the rye. You know, wheat. You know, rye is wheat. I mean that. You know what I mean? That's just it's a form of wheat, and you get the weedy aspect of the rye. Just there, like you can smell the grain.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's
almost like a
so
sweet sweet baked bread. Almost like a cake.
Yeah, I'm getting it. I'm not really getting a cinnamon or a pepper. I'm getting like a tangy sensation, almost like there's an orange or lemon zest in there. Is what I'm picking up.
A little citrus zest, yeah. I get a little citrus.
All right. Well, enough of the nose stuff. Let's taste this.
I already did that.
No, Greg. I wish that
I had to taste a little bit a while ago myself.
like getting ready for this. I probably read 10 reviews, and there's actually one right here. Let me see. And I'm getting. Let's see. Where was it? Okay.
So
They got
sweetness,
spice pepper with a hint of rye grassiness, a sweet molasses softly touched with oak overtones. That's
I
what
was going to say. Just a sweet molasses, real light molasses.
Now that was what would you call? That was the professional thing aspect of, you know, I read 4 or 5 reviews, and I mean, honestly, there was nobody, because but the price on this is $1.99, right?
Yeah, just the retail price is $1.99, right?
Right, and you know that's a chunk of change. There's no doubt about it. But I didn't hear, like, a lot of times sometimes when I'm reading about some of the chicken cock higher expressions, people are talking about the price. You'll hear them talk about, but all the reviews I read, not one of this, that some of them might have stated the price, but nobody complained about the price, and that tells you how good this is. And I agree, but you do come, Greg. You come from that old school of, you know, when you started, when rye was a great mixing whiskey. I mean, Elmer T. Lee, Jimmy Russell, Booker, they were not a fan of drinking rye whiskey. They loved the bourbon, and quite honestly, they weren't a fan of drinking barrel strength whiskey. As far as, you know, when they were putting the barrel strengths out, they thought everybody would add their own water to proof it down to what they wanted to be. They had no idea, and I'm sure if you got in front of Jimmy today, they would never have thought that everybody would just be consuming barrel strength whiskey at the rate that everybody does at barrel strength.
Well, you've probably heard the story, Tiny, that Fred Noe probably tells about his dad Booker. You know, you can always tell when Booker had a bad day or a good day. You know, when he'd get home, you know, he'd pour a water glass full of bourbon, and he'd go over and he'd turn the sink on, and if he had a good day, he'd pass that glass right under the sink just that quick to get just enough water. If he had a bad day, he'd turn the sink on, just hold the glass up and start drinking and turn the faucet off. He never put
it never passed under the flow. Right?
Yeah. Next time you see Fred, ask him about that. He'll tell you this.
Yeah, actually, we're going to see Fred on June 9th because we're doing a Knob Creek barrel pick down there. So we're getting the first ever Scotchy Bourbon Boys barrel pick. So everybody watching know that there's going to be a Knob Creek with the Scotchy Bourbon Boys name on it.
Here, cheers.
Yeah.
And we're really excited that when,
by the way, just to Fred, that announcement, we're Freddie's their co-master distillers now.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
They just
That was cool.
That was
opened
awesome.
up that distillery. That's just going to be wild. I'm glad that here's a cheers to Fred feeling better and enough and to come back into the business. He's had a rough year. And
here's to Freddie becoming the 8th master distiller.
Yes, cheers.
Yep. For sure.
So also
we all
cheers.
raise a glass.
You guys, I mean, you could talk about this or not, but you did your first ever barrel pick for chicken cock coming up for Kentucky Bourbon Festival, correct?
We did actually, yeah. Grain and Barrel Spirits is planning to begin doing barrel picks actually first quarter of next year. But Randy Prass with the Kentucky Bourbon Festival came to us and asked if we would do a barrel pick for them. Yeah, keep your hand up, everybody. It's going to be limited. I can tell you that.
Hey,
right now.
if Jeff puts his hand up and I put mine up, would that make
I'll
us
put in a good
second
word
line?
for you.
Yeah,
I'll put
we
in a
know
good
the
word for
master
you.
distiller.
My good word doesn't carry a heck of a lot of weight, unfortunately. But,
I know.
But so we Randy and I had a few other folks there that joined us, but we did our first barrel pick ever for the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. It'll actually it goes, I guess Justin's House of Bourbon actually has does the sales for it through the retail side of it, in conjunction working with the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. But Randy was there, Brent with Justin's House was there, and so they selected an awesome barrel. It's going to be 7 years old when it's bottled, so but it's some pretty darn good whiskey.
So
That
quick shout out.
They will be available during the Bourbon Festival. For those people who are going to the Bourbon Festival, you can buy it there at the festival. I'll be around for several of the days. If anybody needs a signature on the bottle, as I tell people, that signature's not worth a whole lot. You take that signature and a $20 bill and you get a small coffee at Starbucks. So
There it is, right there. I got it on this file.
So I have an emergency I have to go take care of, so I'll have to sign off. But the finish on this is terrific. The rum really comes through. And
It does.
When I get back, I will enjoy a regular size pour.
Okay.
all right.
Cheers, Roxy. Great to see you.
Good seeing you, Rocky.
So we got
Go take care of the tick.
we got a quick shout out to Fernando.
Fernando and
Jay?
Jay. Yes.
Hey, Greg. Randy's listening in.
Good.
So, and a shout out to Chris Brown. I don't think that's the rapper, but hey, Chris, love your music.
And a shout out to El Presidente from the Kentucky
Hey, Randy.
Randy.
Bourbon Festival.
Cheers.
Get your chicken cock out.
All right, so let's go into this a little bit. I'm going to start it. The Scotchy Bourbon Boys rating system. The Whiskey Live rating system is different than the Scotchy Bourbon Boys podcast, where we do barrel bashing. The Whiskey Live rating system is 25 for nose, 25 for body, 25 for taste, and 25 for finish, for a total score of 100. What we will do is everybody will put in their rating. We will combine the scores and divide it up to give a score for the Island Rooster. Are you going to participate in this, Mr. Snyder?
Well, I won't rate my own whiskey. No, sir. You know better than that.
I wanted just to hear you say that we know that you don't, but but technically you do, because usually when you give me something to sample and it tastes like nothing like I've ever tasted before, usually you know already that it's already hit all the marks. So.
Well, again, we talked about this earlier, and whenever I do tastings, I do tastings all over the country. The first thing I tell people, there is no correct answer. It's not an exam. What you smell, what you taste are going to be totally different than the person next to you. So, some people like that rum flavor. Some people don't. Some people don't like rum at all. And so it may offend them, which again, no skin off my back. It doesn't hurt my feelings if you don't like it. But for my palate and from my experience in the industry, I think that the rum paired extremely well with the rye flavors. Like I said, the spicy, the peppery notes of the rye. And I'm thrilled to death with it. I'd love it the way it came. And actually, just to let you know, we've got a second rendition. I took those barrels and we put some more rye back in those barrels. It's going to stay in there a little bit longer this time, probably to get comparable to this batch. But we've got another batch coming of it. So it'll probably be bottled later this summer.
Oh, wow.
Cheers.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Hey, Greg. Randy says, hey.
Hey, Randy.
He also put something in the comments. I'll just let you read.
Oh,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, tell him I'll be up in his old neighborhood up in Wisconsin here next month. So
So I will say, the rating system here used to be 1 through 5, but Jeff's been working on his numbers as well as his reading. So now we can go 1 to 25.
Ooh.
No, it's always been 1 to 25. You're just not paying attention. You're that student. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got pages stuck together there.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
On the Whiskey Live, we do it differently than the podcast.
Right.
Which is okay. Because
It is.
whiskey it's whiskey live.
It's drunk math either way. So
One wife leaves and the other one enters.
Yes.
I don't get it, Greg.
All right. So here we go. Let's I've nosed this. I pretty much have. All right. So cheers.
Let's do a nose.
The nose is getting better the more it kind of open.
I agree with whiskey there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really.
I think it has a fantastic nose. I'll go first.
Well,
Sure. What the hell?
so everybody, have you tasted?
Yeah.
I
We're
just
gonna
tasted-
we're gonna talk about the nose.
Well, we
rate
will.
the nose and rate the taste like we
Well,
always do.
One thing right before we do that, you can go first on the nose when we go. One of the things with the rum barrel aspect of this, I was a rum drinker before I was a whiskey drinker.
Captain Morgan.
I liked
Bacardi 151.
Bacardi lemon, Bacardi lemon, Bacardi. I was like a rum because I could drink it, and there were no ill after effects with rum for me. I always said I could have been a pirate because I could have drank all day long and all night long, and I would have been all right. So probably not falling off the boat, but when I
And they talk funny too.
revisited this past March when I went down to Florida to visit my parents, we stopped at a rum distillery, and they had some spectacular rums there. But the vanilla that's in the rum is so prevalent. It's almost like with whiskey, there's always the spice, and so it's almost like those flavors are eliminated, the spicy flavors or the oaky flavors, unless it's been aged a little bit. But overall, that vanilla was so strong, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I would encourage anybody who drinks bourbon to have some of the nicer rums because of those flavors that are in there, because they're similar to somewhat what whiskey has vanilla in it. When you're having a vanilla, or not, it's not caramely, but it's more vanilla, or he says perfumey. But overall, I just love the mixture of the whiskey with the rum. It just they do rums in whiskey barrels, but it doesn't do it the service that the whiskey does in the rum barrel. So those flavors are coming out through here. And I just wanted to say that's just what you put out here is a perfect balance between the whiskey and the rum.
Yeah.
A side note to that, Tiny, is that a lot of people ask me, well, whose rum barrels did you use? And unfortunately, we have to sign a non-disclosure, so I can't tell you where the rum barrels came from. I can tell you they are Caribbean rum barrels, okay? And it was made with sugarcane, not molasses. I know there is a molasses note to it that you get on the palate, but it was actually sugarcane rum.
So the molasses is more coming from the whiskey than it is the rum.
Well, you get that sweetness, the molasses taste from rum, period, I think. But the actual, instead of being the rum being made with molasses, it was actually made with sugarcane.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
All right.
And probably why we're getting that molasses is probably the cross between it aging in the bourbon barrels and picking up some of the caramel and the butterscotch notes, mixing with the vanilla and the rum and the sugarcane notes, just sort of blending a little bit.
That's a good point.
So, Greg, just for my own edification, because I'm not a rum expert, what do they make a rum barrel out of? Because I know bourbon has to be American white oak. So
basically, rum barrels are essentially used bourbon barrels. But that's another note, and it's interesting you asked that, Whiskey. These barrels that arrived, I was kind of shocked when they were 225 liter barrels. typically a standard whiskey barrel is 53 gallon or 200 liter.
Yeah.
These were actually wine barrels that were charred after the wine was out to them, and they put the rum in it. So that's a little bit different, unique. It was American oak. It was not French oak, but it was American oak, but a 225 liter barrel. And so that's something a little bit unique. And that's why I'm thinking, man, the flavors of this are phenomenal.
Yeah, I was going to have to ask Siri what liters converted to gallons because.
Yeah, so basically 225 liters, a 59 gallon barrel. And
I could ask our friend in Canada, I guess.
There you go.
So Vancouver, shout out to the metric system. There you go. We're still holdouts.
There's another story. I'm going to tell you my age, Whiskey, because when I started in the industry, we were still bottling, half pints and fifths and quarts and half gallons. And then a couple years into it, our industry decided to go to the metric system. And man, you talk about screwing a lot of people up. I'm telling you, it was a hard conversion going from the standard system to the metric system.
I'm telling you, man, I still got a bottle that I got sitting on a shelf that says 4/5.
Yeah. And the heck of it is, taxes are still paid on proof gallons. So it's kind of a dual language in the industry.
Well, but it's really good converting from one metric measure to another, because all you have to do is move the decimal point. So that makes up for it.
Well, but also I've seen recently, and you can tell me if you guys will eventually participate, that we have been reducing the bottles from 750 milliliters to 700 milliliters. And that's based off of what? I mean, I have I've heard 10 different reasons, but do you have the reason?
That's probably.
I don't know the exact reason. I can tell you that, for as long as I've been in the industry, a 700 milliliter was the standard size for most international countries.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've only ever seen those in the European distribution.
So just this past year, our government allowed different sizes, with 700 mLs being one of them. And so don't be surprised if you start seeing, bottles that were always 750. Now you're buying a 700 ml for about the same price. So it's easy. Basically, the change parts for the bottling equipment and that, you can run a 700 ml basically on the same change parts that you run a 750. So it's not much cost to the distillery per se, but don't be surprised if you start seeing the 700 become more dominant on the shelf.
Do you think it's going to be because of the glass shortage that it's not as big of a bottle?
No. People may say that, Tiny, but it's it's probably more the cost savings on the whiskey than it is the glass.
Is this cost savings and profit?
Yeah,
profit margin.
This is a McDonald's phenomenon, right? Where your Big Mac's not so big anymore.
Perhaps.
You don't get as many chips in the bag.
Yeah, just Jack Daniels just released that. Brown and Foreman just released a 700 milliliter on their newest expression. Now, that's better than releasing a 350 milliliter, I suppose, because it's not.
That's coming. Trust me.
Now they're going to do it and hold the price, or are they going to? It seemed to me they lowered the price a little bit on this express. It was a special edition, and I would have thought it was $35.99, and that's like when you see $35.99, that's usually not what like a plate like a Jack Daniels or whatever. It's usually $19.99, $29. The fact that it was $35.99 and 750 milliliters, it seemed like they reduced the price a little bit.
Yeah, I can't speak for the companies that are doing that, Tiny, but it stands to reason they're going to come out, and since you still have 750s on the shelf, the consumer is going to want to see a price differential. But then as time evolves and it becomes all 700s, then the price is going to inch back up there to where
they'll edge us back into it.
Yeah.
All right, so nose. We're going to do the nose on this one, everybody.
Xavier, what do you think of the nose?
I think it's a great nose. Like I said, it's a good combination of the rye spices and the sweetness or perfume aspect of rum. Gives you a nice tang. I'm not getting a lot of pepper or cinnamon on the nose. I pick up a little bit of that on the taste. I'm getting some of it there. But if I were to say what this, to me, smells like, it smells like orange curacao. is what it smells like, and it's a great nose. I'll give it a 25. It's outstanding.
Okay. All right. Roxy's gone, so we're not going to do that. Okay, whiskey, you're next.
I have to tell you, I think I'm going to blow some minds right here. So, this nose is really different. It's different than a lot of the bourbons that we've tried. And I've kind of been trying to determine what it reminds me of. And if you've ever taken a watermelon and soaked that thing in vodka for about a whole day. So where I'm talking like where you take a bite of that watermelon and you're like, damn, that's some good watermelon.
Yeah.
I get just that. It's that same thing. Like when you pop that watermelon open after you've poured it and filled that thing full of vodka. I get there's definitely the ethanol. There's a little bit of that. It's fruity to me, but it was hard for me to put it in terms. And I'm like, damn, this is like a spicy vodka soaked watermelon. Never heard of such a thing, but that's the note.
In the hyperbole, if there was such a thing, that's what it would be.
So what are you going to give that note?
I'm going to give it a 24. I really like this. This is really cool.
Hey, you're not the Russian judge.
Super Nash.
Cool.
Yeah.
I really love this nose on this. I mean, it is complex. Every time I go to nose it, whether there's a lot in the glass or get down, as I get lower in the glass, I'm picking up more. It's got a little citrus. It's getting, real sweet notes. I get a little bit of the rum. I get a little bit of spiciness, like white pepper and stuff. I mean, I'm loving it. I'm gonna have to give it 20. I'm gonna give it a 24. One of the best
Solidarity, brother.
Of whiskey.
Yeah, it's
of a rye whiskey that
it's
I like.
incredibly unique.
Yeah, it's very unique and
not at all what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So I actually get what you're talking about. I don't know why, but
one doesn't overpower the other. The rum or the rye. Either way, it's very well balanced.
But I also get, there's the pepper
and a hint of chocolate.
You can blow chunks out your nose, asshole.
I knew that was coming.
No chocolate, just milk. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm picking up, after it sits in my glass a little bit longer, I'm picking up caramel too. So on this nose, I'm going to go with 24 too. I give it a 24, and for me to give a rye a 24,
that's saying
something. That's a compliment. That's a big. I know you, Johnny. That's a compliment. Thank you. So I got to touch on Whiskey's comment about the watermelon. So it got me thinking. So maybe the next rendition we'll take our rye whiskey, just pull the bung and take a stalk of sugar cane and cut it up and put the chunks of sugar cane down in the barrel. Let's see what that does, huh?
Oh, yeah, we can do a sugar cane series. Screw them people that do the special oak.
Hey, why don't you? Hey, you know what? You're right. But let's do that for the first barrel pick for the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. You pick 3 or 4 barrels, do that, and we'll pick from those. Yeah. That'll be our barrel pick right there.
Yeah, sugar cane or rhubarb.
Rhubarb or sugar cane? That's like one's really, really tart and the other one's sweet.
Yeah.
It'd be a sweet tart. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
You could drop them both in. There you go.
We'll leave it up to, I'm sure, the expert.
Yeah, but it'd have to be cooked rhubarb because regular rhubarb's poisonous and you just kill everybody.
Well, the leaves are, not the stalks. Just the leaves.
All right.
Maybe that explains how I am. I ate it raw.
You're dead to the rest of the world.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
We pulled him back.
That really explains a lot of things.
Yeah.
Randy said he's waiting for his sample bottle. It didn't show up in the mail yet.
Where is he? Oh, what?
Hey, Good thing mine came in at 8:45 last night because my sample bottle never got shipped either.
Your sample bottle is sitting here, and you canceled it because you said yours was coming.
Yeah, when Jeff gives
I
me his
told you, I said, I don't know. They sent me. Told me I had delayed shipping problems.
But don't feel bad. I have a hard time getting sample bottles too, guys. So.
Well, your team did a good job getting this one here.
Your team came through for me, Greg.
Glad
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, thank your team. Come next Tuesday because I know Monday's Memorial Day.
I just inhaled it. It's really good in my lungs. I give it a 25 for inhaling.
He's got a new category.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh!
Well, this is a 25.
Yeah, the snortability is extremely high.
No, it's just pour it straight down your windpipe. You don't snort it, straight down.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
95 proof.
And now whiskey will be taking over the podcast as Jeff's lost his voice.
All right, so Tiny, you went last on the nose. Why don't you go first on the taste?
All right.
Well, Randy says it looks like there's one master and 4 stooges.
That's about right.
I
But no. Yeah,
He just turned us all into the 4 stooges
wise guy.
Bill's the only one that refuses to play that game.
What? I went.
Oh, there you go. I missed that. I was too busy sipping.
But Mo.
There we go. I got this.
There we go.
There we go. You
Oh,
know what?
there's a bold stooge.
We got, yeah.
All right.
Curly, Mo, Larry, and Shemp.
Give us a taste on that.
All right. Thank you, Randy, for just setting the tasting into.
Yeah, thanks,
That
loads,
goes
Randy.
completely sideways.
Yeah, we're definitely attention.
Thanks for
deficit
sinking
here,
the
that's
ship,
for sure.
Randy.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Randy.
Everybody under the age of 40 is going the 3 what?
Yeah, exactly. No, they actually made a Three Stooges movie that they could have been. Yeah,
and like 7 people watched it.
like 6 are watching right now.
Yeah.
All right, so
All right, give us a taste.
So the taste on this, okay. So everybody knows I'm not a huge fan of rye, but I'm a huge fan of rum. But this is made me ever since about January. I was tasting with
Use your words.
Justin Thompson from Justin's House of Bourbon. And he asked me, because last year when I tasted with him on a couple barrel picks, he asked me what I thought of rye. And like you, Greg, I was not a fan of rye. But I would say since January, I haven't tasted a bad rye. I think the attention that's being put to rye now is they're really, really getting those flavors in that before they were just letting it go out, and there's a certain aspect that I still Bullet is I tried Bullet Rye one more time, and it's the epitome of what I don't like. Now, once again, I've told everybody a million times, just because I don't like rye doesn't mean you shouldn't like rye if you like rye. That's one. But
That's right.
But this has the right amount of rye, the right amount of rum, the right amount of caramel and butterscotch that I love.
It's even got the right amount of lung.
Yeah, the lungs give it 25.
But Jeff doesn't anymore.
So on the take on this, and that's the best tasting rye I've ever tasted. So I'm gonna give it a 24 for. I mean, I've not tasted a better rye, so I rate it high.
That's higher than he rated the Righteous Blonde, the beer barrel finished. So that's pretty good.
Yep.
I'm looking at the thing. And there we go. So the next person would be you, Super Nash.
You know, I am gonna have to almost concur with what you said. I'm loving all the flavors that I'm pulling out. It's just got so many, and each time you take a little sip of it, and as you chew it, and it goes across the palate, just each more and more comes out. You get and each
Different
part of
flavors
the
pop.
sweet,
Yeah.
yeah, each part of the sweetness, it's got a different sweetness that pops, as it goes across your palate. To me, because I'm getting a little bit of brown sugar, I'm getting a little bit of, like a light, what I said earlier, like a light molasses, not a dark molasses, but a light flavored molasses. And then I'm getting just like a light brown sugar and vanilla, and I'm getting a little bit of caramel. But then I'm getting like light, light white brown, white pepper, and just a little bit of maybe clove or something. Just some kind of little bacon spice in there, just peppery across the tongue. It's just wonderful, just balanced all the way across, and just a little bit of ethanol. So I'm giving it a 24 too.
All right.
So once again, while we pause, if you're on Facebook and you're leaving us a comment, you need to put your name in your comment, because otherwise your name is Facebook user to us.
Right, if you're not watching one of the main links.
Unless you're in French Canada, in which case you would be Fakabouk User.
Wow.
And El Presidente said he's going down with this ship.
What?
He said he's going down with this ship.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, so you gave it a 24. Whiskey's up.
Me.
Whiskey is up.
So the palate. So I should preface this with, I am historically not a rye fan as well. There's probably 75 bottles right now in my bar, and they are all bourbon. If you want something that isn't bourbon, then you go to the cabinet and you look at the bottom shelf way in the back, and that's where everything else is. But this is good. This is it's different. There's a local distillery here in Ohio that makes vodka from pure sugarcane. And when I tasted that for the first time, it had a very different flavor profile. It's hard to explain, but it's almost like a smoothness that you don't typically find in an alcohol. And that sugariness that I get from a pure sugarcane vodka, the rum has made this, given it a very similar profile for me. It's a spicy, sugary, yummy. I know that's a highly technical term for those at home, and maybe Gregg could help us out as a master distiller, explain the term yummy. But it's good. So this is it's just got a smoothness, almost an elegance that's really hard. If you haven't had anything like this, I mean, you should try it, because it is such a different experience.
Yeah,
I
totally agree.
It's hard to put this into words for me, and I talk for a living, so that's really unusual. So I'm trying to relate it to experiences, and that's, I mean, it's got a heavy sugarcane influence, but you can't argue that it's got that spicy rye undertones. I definitely get the peppery stuff. But it's all mellowed out. I mean, it's, it's kind of like a really spicy rye hit some acid and then ate too many M&Ms. I mean, it really is. It's a solid. I definitely, like I said, I'm not usually at a loss for words, but this is something that I think you have to experience to be able to really understand it. So thank you, Gregg, for sharing it. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, I would not experience.
So if you can
this.
find a number in those words, then what would that number be?
I'm going to give it a 1.2.
It's a savior.
You're at a loss for words. The only word you're lost for is what the numbers were.
Yeah.
It's rare that I give something a 25. I'm going to give this a 25.
Holy crap! The
Wow.
Russian judge strikes again.
Because it's such a different spirit that it's just not like anything out there really. I mean, kudos to you. 6 months was definitely the right time.
Yeah.
One
thing I'd like to add to this is what's missing is like the oakiness and like the tannins and the bitterness and stuff that a lot of ryes have, and to me, that usually have. But all of this is gone. It's balanced out. That to me, they're missing in it, and that's what's brought forth all of those flavors to balance well together, and it's taken away those things that's making it and made it such a well balanced rum finished rye.
All right, so he gives it a 25. Did you have something to say to that, Gregg?
No, well, Whiskey said something earlier about the definition of yummy, and basically, yummy starts with the palate. The palate tells the heart to tell the mind to tell the mouth what to say, and so that's where yummy comes from. So.
There you go.
All right,
that explains all of the relationships that I've ever had.
All right, Xavier.
We'll make it short and sweet. What it doesn't have is the taste of the water out of a bass boat's live well. That's the way a lot of it tastes. And it doesn't have it.
Wait a second.
Now,
you like rye?
Yeah, no, but I like rye that's good rye. I don't like rye that tastes like pond water. This is good, short and sweet. In my unsophisticated method of rating whiskeys, the nose should match the taste, and you've done it perfectly. So I got to give it a 25.
Excellent.
Wow, thank you.
Awesome.
Our predictive model said that you would give this a 25. I'm just going to say it now.
The computer agreed with you that you would say that the nose match the taste, and you're on computers.
If you pretty much nail that with me, you've got it.
And I think me and Tony predicted that on our Woodford Reserve podcast way back then, but we didn't want to show it until now.
Yeah, so predictive analytics stated that. I mean, it didn't even take a room of actuaries to guess that was going to be a 25.
Yeah. All right. No, we're going middle this time. So body. So
I'd like to think thick.
You start then Martin and then
buddy.
So start her out. Whiskey. You got the biggest body.
I do have the biggest body.
Yeah.
But I'm losing weight. And you know what? You shouldn't.
I can beg to differ with that.
You're fat shaming.
I'm talking about the fatty acids in the whiskey.
Oh, I mean, if my belly button gets any deeper, it'd be a pencil holder.
Good night, folks.
Well, that went south pretty quick.
There's a visual. Oh, God.
But according to the Vegas rulings and odds, it didn't go south near as quick as what they predicted.
I'm just, yeah, that turned on a dime and just fell out of the sky.
Yeah.
But Gregg, I'll say, if we are down at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival together, shameless plug, I will say, don't ask me for a pen because you don't know where it's been.
All right, man.
So the body. So again, one of the things that I think has come through, at least for me, is the fruitiness, the lightness, the sugars.
What the hell is wrong with you?
He's literally snorting. He likes it so much he's been snorting it all night.
This
This alcohol is really good.
So,
It's full body. Right into
We
my-
apologize for this, Greg.
so everyone knows
Can't
what this
take
is,
you
right?
anywhere. God.
Everyone knows what this is. This is the international sign for laughter, right?
Oh.
Um,
Okay.
do another line of chicken cock, brother.
Since we've already digressed as far, I got to tell Whiskey, that belly button joke caught me good, man. But you probably heard, I told people when I die, I want to be buried face down with my ass out of the ground, so my friends have a place to park their bike when they come visit.
There you go.
Are you kidding me?
Hey,
I can.
I ride a Harley, Greg.
Motorcycle, whiskey, and golf.
That's right. I'll put my 9-iron up there, Greg. It'll be next to the bike. Just got to put a little hand sanitizer
All right,
on the
all
grip.
right. Back. Come on.
So at least for me, I mean, I get that sweetness, that sugariness all through the mouth, but I don't get that same body that I get out of a lot of, we've made fun of it in the past. It touches, all the places, and it's a good touch, not a bad touch. But for me, this isn't doing all of that for me. So I'm going to give the body like a 19.
Okay.
Because it doesn't get out into the cheeks, and at least for me. So
No, I get it.
and I got a lot of cheeks to cover. So
Honestly, if you drink 115, 120 proof, I mean, those bodies on those, when you get a good one, that does the whole thing. Like you said, Greg, you knew where to put it at 95 because when it was lower, the taste wasn't coming in. But this does not have the body of your barrel proof, 115 proof,
15-year-old 114 proof. Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's not many that are going to match up with that one.
Right. So, all right. So I'll go next. You do the 19. I give the body a 23 because there's the flavor. Maybe not the spice goes throughout, but the flavor fills my complete palate. Top, nose,
lungs.
top of the roof of my mouth. The lungs.
The lungs.
Okay, so that's the difference of the 4 because I got it in my lungs and it really feels good in there. Yep, there we go. So I give it a 23.
And I think I'm going to give it about a 23. I think this has got a medium body to it. If for a 90 proof, 95 proof, to me, it's got a pretty good thickness and nice sugary long legs.
Now wait, are you talking about tiny, or are you talking about the chicken?
I got sugary long legs.
I'm going to leave that to your wife to figure out.
Guys, we can't unhear all that now.
Yeah, exactly. And
Nice.
I've never ever seen you in shorts and don't want to.
Nice. It's
So,
buttery.
but
Whoa.
hey, they run pretty good, and it
There's
takes
baby
just
wipes
a
for
second for them to form in the glass. So, but then, like I say, when I take a sip of it, and then it starts to go across my palate, the flavors just start to pop, and they hit all the sides of my mouth like I want it to, all the way out to the top and bottom of my mouth. Where I start to lose it is right in the back of it, in the back of my throat. But at a 95 proof, I'm getting all I want out of this rye whiskey. So, like I say, I'm going to give it a 23. I'm solid with it.
Your go, Xavier, and then you're first on the finish.
Peace to Chris Brown. He's got to go, but he wanted to say goodbye. So
Thanks, Chris.
Yes, thanks
See you,
for
Chris.
watching, Chris.
Hey, thanks for watching us, Chris. Glad you could join us.
So, body,
Yeah.
I get what you guys are saying. That doesn't totally fill you up, but it's still pretty darn good. and how do I want to say it? While it doesn't hit everything, it also doesn't burn you out either.
No.
I'm going to give it. I'm going to go with the 23 on the body as well. Yeah.
Okay. Then go on your finish.
The finish is a 25. I mean, my goodness, it is that excellent taste that you have really from nose and taste, and all the way on through the back palate, the finish, and it's a fairly long lasting finish, and you get that good. It's still kind of the orange curacao taste, or another taste that I kind of get was back in the day when I used to drink a lot of rum. We used to put a double jigger over crushed ice, then top it off with lime juice and stir it and drink it that way, 151. And that left a nice, strong, but fruity, sweet taste in your mouth. So I really like it, 25.
It's nice.
All right, Super Nash.
All right. On the finish for me, I think I'm going to have to give it a 24.
Let me see that bottle.
I know I'm going to have a little more of this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is
Hey,
good.
Greg, can you have some more?
Just a little.
Have as
I'll
much as
share,
you
but
want.
you better have a long straw, pal.
Exactly. To me, it hits all the right notes. It's got a nice medium little hug. Everything I want from a 95 proof.
Oh, did you want to?
That's all right.
The flavors hit all the way to the back, and they don't go as long as I'd like them to. But I mean, hey, it does what I want it to, and it's complex. It's everything I want in a rye whiskey, and the wonderful flavors. So yeah, wonderful finish. What can I say?
You just said a lot, so I think you did good.
Cheers, brother.
You're up, whiskey.
Me.
Thank
So
you, brother. For
I bet
all your hard work, because it all starts. It amazes me. You're the only distiller that I know that goes all the way out to the stave factory, and I mean hand selects the trees, the staves, and goes through the whole process. I don't know another distiller at any other distillery so far that does that. And I mean, you go that extra mile, and I mean, it shows up in the quality and every product that you're behind and you put out, brother. And I thank you, and I enjoy getting everyone that I get.
Thank you, pal.
That you're behind.
You know how much I love the industry and passionate about it, and passionate about the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. You guys were one of the first groups that I was able to join, especially during this pandemic region or area time frame. But you got a great group. You guys are phenomenal at promoting in the industry in general, and it's guys like you that are helping this bourbon boom continue for hopefully many years to come. So appreciate what you guys do.
Greg.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll be around to do it for many years to come, along with you, brother. Thank you.
Just to specify, Greg, did you distill this?
The rye we did, yes.
So
Yes.
this is your distillate.
This is our rye, yes, sir.
And then you basically got it up to 4 years it almost was 4 years, but when you put it in the rum barrels, you made it 4 years, correct?
Yeah, it actually exceeded 4 years sitting in the rum barrel. It was 3.5 years old when we put it in the rum barrels. And there was a change, I mentioned this earlier, there's a change in TTB law this past year that they changed it. Previously, if you dumped the barrel, whether it's bourbon, rye, the day you dumped it, that's how old it was. I don't care if you finished it in a secondary barrel or not. Well, now they're realizing that, hey, it's continue aging. So now if you age and finish it in a secondary barrel, the age continues. And so it was a recent change in the law. So it's technically over 4 years old. Yeah.
Is
Awesome.
that change from Kentucky or federal?
Federal. TTB is the federal. Tax and Trade Bureau is who regulates our industry. That's one of the rule changes they made this past year.
So does that have to go through any, high-end legal aspect like Congress or the House, or is that just that division?
It's all internal. It used to be all part of the Treasury Department, and the BATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, was created, and then after 9/11, the BATF kind of split off, and half of them stayed BATF, which was strictly gun control and regulation. The TTB was developed, the Tax and Trade Bureau, and again, what was that, 2001, I think it was. And so that's who actually regulates and defines the rules. And they've changed a lot of rules. I mean, you see on the front of this one, it says rum barrel finished, right?
Mhm.
Previously, you can say it when we submitted the paperwork for our first beer collaboration. It was the Chicken Cock Beer Barrel Select. We originally said, beer barrel finish, or it was beer barrel bourbon, okay, and the TTB rejected it. Now, unfortunately, in today's society, depends on whose desk it falls on, I guess, whether or not it gets approved, because there's been others that submitted the exact same, and they got approved. But typically, you're supposed to say, bourbon finished in a beer barrel, or this one you can see the bottom line. It says, Kentucky straight rye whiskey finished in a rum barrel. It has to say that on there, but they're allowing other verbiage on there as well. And you can see this one says rum barrel rye. Previously, that was not allowed. So it's, there's been a lot of changes, and they have their plates full, especially as busy as this industry is just taken off. There's a lot. It takes a lot longer now to get things approved than it used to, anyhow.
Well, yeah, that's that. I mean, I think all the changes that they keep going through, they realize that they can't. It's kind of like you get the feeling that the handcuffs are starting to come off, where they're allowing certain things to happen. You know what I mean? And
so, roll back to 1978 when I started in this industry. The government, we had revenuers on premise. That's where they showed up to work. We had 4 or 5 actually. They had an office there at Seagram's where I started in Louisville. They had locks, got federal government locks on every building that had alcohol in them. And so every day you'd give them a list of the buildings that you needed to work in, and they would go unlock the federal government lock. So you get in that building and work. At the end of the day, they went back and they locked it back up. That's
bond.
Yeah.
Anything that was bonded, any building that had alcohol in it was bonded. They had to be bonded premises.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it was a different world back then, right?
Yeah, it was totally different. Then when President Reagan took office, he's saying, man, we got a lot of fat in government. And that's why he decided, these guys, and God bless them, because I was good friends with a lot of them, but they would come and they'd unlock the locks in the morning, and then they go back and they may have a couple pieces of paper they had to shuffle or sign or whatever. They pour a cup of coffee, put their feet up on the desk, and that's where they sat all day long until they needed to lock things back up. And again, not faulting them. That's just the way it played out. There was very little work.
Right.
And so that's when President Reagan got in office, he saw some of that fat and they cut it out. I mean, they basically turned the keys over to all the distilleries and said, here, now you're responsible for these locks, and you're responsible for all the government paperwork, to make sure that we get our tax money. And if you screw up, guess what? We're coming down hard on you. So, it's kind of self-disciplined.
Well, but also the people in the industry. I mean, I just yourself, Gregg Metz, who started the same time you did at Seagram's. You all are just hardworking individuals who were under these strict regulations at the time, but it was overkill because the industry itself drives at this point, not 1898. It's now 2022. And if the consumer is so educated that if you basically screw up, they're going to be able to taste your screw up. I mean, that's what you're always looking for as we keep going forward. you're looking for those astringent tastes, whatever that even craft distillers were putting out 10 years ago.
From
But
a quality perspective, I'm sorry,
but they're
Jeff.
not anymore. I mean, it's all at this level that the whiskey has risen to this level of quality that we're all experiencing because there's such a market for it. People, good whiskey. Um, I I had one person, tell me that I didn't know, but when you're talking about good distilling and you're talking about good aging and you're putting it all together, the reason why people who are drinking good whiskey don't get hangovers isn't because they're not drinking too much. It's because the quality of the whiskey and the chemicals that give you a hangover are being eliminated because of the competition for the market isn't just good whiskey. It's producing that quality, and everybody's selling quality, but everybody also knows that the whiskey drinker has evolved to the point where if you're going to put out shit, they'll know it.
Yeah.
So free market really works in the whiskey industry, right?
Well, from a quality perspective, you're absolutely right. I mean, the consumers, I mean, you're right. They're so much more educated today than they were years ago. And that's why I love doing tastings. I mean, I get so many great questions from people that, years ago, I didn't ever gotten those questions. And they're so, I don't know, so engrossed into what you're saying, and they're passionate about it as well. I mean, they just, they want to learn, they want to know all they can about it. And I enjoy those opportunities. But, from a tax perspective, our federal government makes a ton of money. I mean, it funds so many things.
They know.
And
they
so
know what they're doing.
that is exactly why,
Yeah.
they keep a close eye on it, and you better dot your I's and cross your T's, because if you don't, they'll come knocking on your door, and next thing you know, you got an audit, and man, it can turn into a Pandora's box. But you just got to be honest and transparent and straightforward.
But that's
too, the consumer now, the whiskey, bourbon, and Scotch, and consumer, they're becoming more educated now as to their palates and all. And not only that, but also the distillers themselves, they're becoming more educated to the consumer's palates. So, it's all working, and it's becoming a big monster that, one's trying to keep up with the other in this industry. And it's amazing what it's becoming.
Well, as you guys know, I mean, that's part of my passion, what I love. And
Yeah.
I'm semi-retired. I'm a consultant. And one of my gigs, I'm the master distiller for Chicken Cock whiskey, and I thoroughly love it. I'm in a situation in my life where, again, I've been in the business 44 years, worked with a lot of great people, worked for a lot of great companies. And this opportunity, working with Grain and Barrel Spirits and being the master distiller of Chicken Cock, it provides me the opportunity to take those 44 years of experience and knowledge and truly focus it on a brand and do some neat things that I've always wanted to do, and really have control over it. From, as you said earlier, Super Nash, from bark to barrel to bourbon to bottle. I have oversight from the very beginning all the way through.
Yes.
It's fun. I'm having fun, and they pay me to do it, so it's good.
I am learning so much, like I say, from bark to barrel, to whiskey, to bottle, and learning from you so much. It's amazing, and there's so much more, like I said, that I've learned, from what comes from that wood that imparts flavors to the whiskey. It's not just the grains and just the yeast and all that, and the water, the types of water and things, that go into the distillation and the processes that go into it. It's from the way it goes into that wood, and then the processes of that wood, to get it to go in there. So yeah, it's amazing. There's so many differentials now that, and that's what, like I told you earlier, that me and my son are going to be working on his project for class is quality control and the differentials and the outcomes.
Awesome.
So,
yeah, good luck with that. That's great, man. That's great.
yeah.
All right, whiskey.
Yeah.
Finish.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. No, I'm sorry. The that joke. Sorry.
But I'm bummed.
Yeah. Exactly. The,
Exactly.
I got to tell you, I mean, I love coming and being part of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys for these things because I always learn something important tonight. I always thought that it was the kidneys that removed the impurities, and that's why I didn't have a hangover. Turns out it's you guys. So thanks, Greg, again for me not having hangovers because here I've been thanking my 2 kidneys, and I had it wrong all these years.
You did.
So that's a Tiny's inventing his own form of science. So.
It's not my own form of science. It's true.
Yeah. Okay.
Talk to Alan about that one.
So finish. So as much as I felt like maybe the body wasn't there, I actually like this finish. The finish again for me, you get the rye. It's really light. It's not like your typical rye. You get a little pepper. It's not like your typical bold pepper. But what I really like is that sugary sweetness. And for me, not the longer it sits, the more that sugary sweetness kind of spreads. So I'm going to give this a 23. I actually really enjoyed this. Greg, I would have never bought this if it was sitting on the shelf. I'm going to tell you that straight up. But I would buy this now. I know it's got a higher price point. This is certainly the bottle that you put on the shelf and keep for yourself. This is not the one you share because I don't have any friends that are worth $200 a bottle. Present company,
Fuck you.
present company included. We love you too, brother.
You're such a dick.
Carl, I thought I made a better impression than that when I came up and met you.
Super Nash, you're not around enough. You're like the absentee father.
There you go.
But no, seriously, Greg. I mean, I don't like ryes. I tell people that all the time. This is very good. I would spend my money on this, and I would hoard this and keep it all to myself. My wife doesn't drink, so she could just miss out. But this is the bottle you hide in the back. Maybe you show people, but you're like, oh, I haven't opened it yet. Even though it might look half empty. So
you can look at it, but don't touch it.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, you can look at it, but don't touch. It's like being married for 25 years. I will just say thank you, sir. I enjoyed the experience, and I'm looking forward to this last little sip because I'm sure Tiny won't give me any more.
Oh, I'll share the hell out of this bottle. I mean, God, it's that far down. It's delicious. I concur with you. It's a 23 on the finish. For me to give a rye a 23 on the finish is like God moving, splitting the sea for Moses. I mean,
Parting
it's
the Red
just
Sea.
parting the Red Sea. What the finish? There's enough. There's a little bit of rye in there. Okay, I pick up the rye spice, but there's enough of the rum that's in there, that vanilla, and they're fighting constantly. But it's a long finish, so I give it a 23. So Xavier, pull your phone out and get the calculator because we are going to divide.
Okay, drunk math here.
Yep.
Hey,
98
this is the first.
for you.
Usually Tiny does drunk math on the pad without a calculator.
No, we're doing. I'm not.
Okay, 98.
92 for whiskey, 94 for Tiny, and 95 for Martin.
It's 95.
95 for me?
Divided by.
Yeah, you put in 95.
4.
Yep.
How did I put in 95? I
Well,
didn't even
there
have
you go.
195.
What?
I didn't even have 195 at
90,
all.
94.75 and 95.
I had like 390, 294s and a 93 and a 93.
What the fuck are
What are you
talking
looking at? You were giving
25, not 90s.
24,
Yeah.
It's 25s to 24 to 23.
Yeah.
So the 23 dropped you.
I think he had a 97. Yeah, he had 225s, a 24 and a 23, didn't he?
I think
No, he had 24, 24, 23, 24.
I think Super Nash is
Okay.
talking about the proof
3,
of all the
4,
shots
5,
he did before
95.
he went
Yeah,
live.
that's what I was
Xavier's
talking
the
about.
one. Hey, Greg, Xavier was 25, 25, 23, 25 for a 98.
Yeah, scratch my last statement there.
So that all averages out to
Yeah,
94.75
And I think that is the highest rating
we've
that
ever
the
given.
Scotchy Bourbon Boys have ever given to anything.
Yeah.
And
What was that rating?
a 94.75.
It was a
Wow, that's pretty good.
Not pretty good. It's
That's like the
awesome.
best.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. You're too kind. Again, I don't rate it. I just drink it because I love it. So
Yeah.
sick. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, Greg, you crushed it.
Hey, Greg,
Like everybody said,
we do too, brother.
fantastic
I mean,
expression.
it makes me start looking for other ryes because that to put that up against them. And I really appreciate you sending that up.
Yes, thank you very much.
And it's delicious, and it's
Pretty amazing.
Honestly, the price tag matches how good it is.
And look, you get this cool specimen cup too, right? Just a nice little.
whiskey, you use it how you feel appropriate. Okay.
That's right. That's right. And
I got to tell you, we've got a couple other. We've got one other limited time offering that's out right now. I think you guys probably know about it. It's called our Chicken Cock Cotton Club. If you think back to the history of chicken cock whiskey during Prohibition, when the distillery shut down in Paris, Kentucky, the brand was sold to a company up in Montreal, Canada, and they made a rye whiskey. And they would bottle that rye whiskey under the chicken cock label. They'd seal it in a tin can because that tin can protected it when they bootleg it back into the U.S. And it showed up in a lot of speakeasies, but its claim to fame, it was a house whiskey at the Cotton Club. So Marty Antela, the founder of Grain and Barrel Spirits, he found some 20-year-old Canadian rye whiskey this past year, and he wanted to pay homage to the brand 100 years ago, back during the 1920s. And so that's why he came out, the company came out with Chicken Cock Cotton Club. It's a 20-year-old Canadian rye. It was actually aged in used barrels, which they can do in Canada. You got to remember in Prohibition, when the distillery shut down during Prohibition 1920, well, guess what? All the cooperages shut down because they just lost their customer base. Mm-hmm. So that forced the Canadian distilleries to start aging their whiskey in used barrels. And so just like this Cotton Club that we've got, it's very light in color, but it's got a unique flavor. It's got a lot of fruity floral flavors. Doesn't taste like rye whiskey at all to me anyhow. Again, everybody's palate's different, but it's got a high price tag. It retails for $4.99 a bottle. So, but it's very limited edition. We've got one that we're working on now. I've been tasting it just about every couple of weeks. It's aging down in Bardstown Bourbon Company. We've got a bourbon that we're finishing in a cognac barrel.
Oh, nice.
And
wow.
With cognac, you got to be careful. Cognac is extremely overpowering. So it's not going to stay in those barrels very long. I've been tasting every couple of weeks to see how it progresses, and it's already picked up a ton of flavor. But that's going to be bottled probably in September for the last quarter of the year, the OND, the October, November, December timeframe, when all the Christmas stuff's rolling out.
Christmas
that's going to be called Chicken Cock Chanticleer. It's a French. Chanticleer is French for rooster. You can put your feet up ever.
I remember Chanticleer. He was that's the movie. Right there.
It's a movie? I didn't know it was a movie, but it's French. The Chanticleer means rooster in mm-hmm. French. And you got to remember the French connection. Bourbon whiskey, the name bourbon whiskey came because of Bourbon County. Bourbon County actually came because of the support that the French government gave the Americans during the Revolutionary War. Had it
Right.
not
The
been
name
for
of the French royal family.
Yeah, Bourbon.
exactly the Bourbon family,
Mhm.
the Bourbon family. So the Virginia Commonwealth, they actually created a county that ended up becoming part of Kentucky, called Bourbon County. When Kentucky became a state in 1792, they kind of refigured the footprint. And so Kentucky is the same footprint it is today, but there were 9 counties in Kentucky when it became a state after they ratified the Constitution. And today there's 120 counties, but Bourbon County represented basically the 20% of the eastern part of the state. It started up just south of Cincinnati around Newport, Covington, Kentucky, went just east of Lexington all the way down to Pikeville and down, southern southeastern Kentucky. And so that was all Bourbon County. So all these great distilleries, these immigrants were moving south. They had backgrounds in the distillation business, and they were making whiskey. And all this whiskey was going on ships going down the Ohio River, down to the Mississippi, down to New Orleans, getting shipped all over the world. And, these people were saying, hey, I want some more of that whiskey from Bourbon County. And then the venture became, hey, I want some more of that bourbon whiskey. And so that's how bourbon whiskey got its name. So it's got a French connection there. And oh, by the way, you know where chicken cock originated? What city?
Paris.
Paris, Kentucky, in Bourbon County, the county seat.
Kentucky.
There's another French connection. That's why the company, Grain and Barrel and Marty, I think, in his marketing team, they came up with this Chanticleer. They wanted to maintain the French connection, but come up with the Rooster.
I'll give you
That is awesome.
the movie that Chanticleer was in, but I got to do some research because
Okay,
I remember it from when my kids were small, 30 years ago. So, but actually, then you put in the connection going down the Mississippi, and you got Bourbon Street serving it up in New Orleans, and they probably, when you think about it, loved the fact that it was coming from Bourbon County. It just kind of made that connection, and nobody ever talks about like that those people down there were making that connection, that it's coming from Bourbon County, Kentucky, going down to Bourbon Street, where that's probably why, that's another aspect that would add into it.
And so where is Bourbon Street located?
New
In the
Orleans.
French Quarter.
Yep,
French
in the French
Quarter,
Quarter.
yep.
So, if you're looking for another French connection in the future, you could name the next batch Jean Depardieu, and you could age it in his tube socks.
Oh God!
I'm just saying.
Oh.
I mean,
Cheers to you, whiskey. You can drink that too.
trust me, I've had some shelfers that taste like it was.
Well, I'm actually working on a project right now. We've got a connection with a winery out in California who makes a great Syrah wine. And so we're going to be doing it's going to be for 2023, probably OND of 2023, but we're going to be aging some whiskey in a nice Syrah barrel as well. So we've got a couple of things in the works, and you got to keep planning out ahead. So
yeah, definitely. And then you also have to do stock, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we know that there's a certain amount that's got to go to what I'm so looking forward to, that when you start to put out all your distillate, and the first part's going to come, and those barrels you were purchasing, but then there's the other barrels that you were just part of the process of making. So you've got a couple upgrades going on to the whole line coming up real soon.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
amazing. It's amazing how fast the last couple of years have gone, isn't it?
It is, it's again, I've told you the story. When I started in the industry in 1978, it was on the decline, and I saw it bottom out in the 80s, and then had a couple of blips with the Japan economy doing well, and bourbon was booming there, and then Australia, and so it had a couple of blips. But in the last 12 years roughly, I mean, it's skyrocketed, and it's so gratifying to see this industry take off. And people ask me all the time, well, how long is this boom going to last? And I'm telling you, with guys like you promoting the industry, and all the distilleries still popping up left and right, I think it's going to be around for a long time. Hopefully, long after I'm off this earth. So yeah,
right. But at the same time, with people like you caring about your craft And then also
that's what counts right there.
also
What Connie's saying.
bringing, I see so many distillers bringing back other aspects of the industry, just like Gregg Metz from Old Elk.
Gregg's a great distiller. Great distiller.
He's got a mash bill with 34% rye, not rye, 34% barley, and 50% rye and 51% corn.
Right.
And there's not a lot of people who have a barley bourbon.
Or like our friend Alan Bishop, where he's digging into the history. I mean, really digging down to like the old school distilling practices and the yeast and old ways of distilling, and bringing back that kind, to bring out the flavors into whiskey and bourbon and things like that. That's what's bringing back, and gonna keep the distilling practices alive. There's always going to be people that drink and consume whiskey, bourbon, and the other spirits and things like that. But, to keep this boom going like it's going, and to the craft distillers and stuff like what you're bringing about, like this Island Rooster rum barrel finished rye. Yeah. It's going to take thinking like what you're doing, and the old distillers, bringing back old stuff and new innovations together.
Well, the last thing, Gregg, I mean, your commitment to your craft, and what I see what you're doing, I see what Alan's doing, I see all the different aspects of what can be done. Like, there's so many different more whiskey categories. American single malt is starting to take its place. Wheat whiskey, when you're talking about a 95.5 wheat to barley, and some of those, I mean, I've been tasting the wheat whiskey lately, and it's just been phenomenal. And it's just like there's so many more categories to go in for American whiskey. There's the bourbon is still doing what it's going to do, but I really believe what's going to sustain it is the creativity of the distilleries and the distillers, and people like you standing up for the craft. And that's what you've been doing all along. There's no doubt about it. You've stood up, you fight for what tastes good, what needs to be done. You always have the whole other aspect of the industry trying to rush everything. You've got the whole other aspect. There's an aspect of the industry that just says, if you put this out at this point, it's going to make money. And you're like, but it might make money, but it's not going to make the kind of money if you can hold out a little bit longer and then really make it explode because it's so delicious. And
Are we still talking about bourbon?
No, we're talking. Yes, we're totally talking about bourbon. But I see that so much in the industry. What you're doing is spread across all the distillers. They're all holding out against the corporate aspect, and it's not like the corporate aspect's bad because they bring the capital. But you got to really. It's not an easy fight, and we respect the fight that you fight.
Your passion and spirit is just overwhelming to what the corporate aspect has become in this market. And that's what I think he's trying to say.
Yeah, well, you know that I've been on both sides of that fence, okay?
Yes, yes.
And so that's what I was trying to, I guess, allude to earlier, how much I'm enjoying the opportunity today to take the years of knowledge and experience and truly focus it on a small brand, because on a big brand, it's not as easy. It really is not as easy.
Yeah.
I can go to a stave mill and I can pick out enough logs to make 1,000 barrels in half a day or so. And, because typically I do the work up front. The log buyers and the mill manager, they know the specifications I'm looking for. So as they're buying logs, they say, "Wait, we need to put these over here in this stack for Gregg because he's going to be coming here in a couple months." And so, it makes my job a lot easier. I don't have to go out there and spend several days sorting through big stacks of logs out in the yard. the ones we're going to select. So it's I don't have to call that many out. So
Yeah.
But you're right. I've been on both sides of that fence, and I understand it. I get it.
Yep.
It's all about making money at the end of the day. And but I love today's bourbon boom because, as you said, Gregg Metz is a great distiller. I mean, I could sit here and tell you probably 50 or more guys that I've worked with that I have so much respect for, that truly have the passion and want to do it right. They want to make it right, and sometimes they get overruled by corporate decisions because of
money.
the almighty dollar. And
Yep.
but that's what fuels business. That's what drives the capital to grow the business. And it's part of the show. So
yeah, it is.
As you know, it's like even the large distilleries, like what Fred and Freddie Know deal with, they're dealing with a whole different set of, at that massive amount of production, but they still have to fight the same fight. It's got to age, it's got to taste good, and corporate wants them to always, they're like, well, just put it out, and they fight that fight too. It's like, so you see what you're doing at Chicken Cock, reviving this line of bourbon, which is fantastic, and then you see what they're doing, maintaining a line, but the fight's similar. You know what I mean?
Either way, it's still, to get to the quality, it still takes time, and you can't get around it, can you?
Not at all.
Nope.
No.
All right. So we've been on longer than Roxy left. So that extra half hour is because she left, because she was like, it's an hour tonight. And I'm like, it's always an hour. Well, we went hour 36 because
we got Greg Snyder.
Yeah, exactly. And we could talk forever.
My fault.
And
My
we
fault.
got a great pour.
Greg, I want to take
yes.
the time to say that we realize with all the irons in the fires that you have, that you're probably, not sitting around twiddling your thumbs saying, oh, gee, what am I going to do tonight? And we really appreciate the time you spend with us tonight.
Yes.
And all the time you've given us. It's just unbelievable how generous you've been with your time to us. And from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Again, I'm so passionate about this industry and passionate about Scotchy Bourbon Boys. When I hooked up with Jeff, several years ago now, I guess.
Yeah.
And you guys were just kind of getting started, and but I love what you were doing and loved your passion for it, and so you know what, you're my kind of people.
All right.
I can sit and talk about whiskey all night.
You are us.
Yeah, vice versa, man.
I am a Scotchy Bourbon Boy.
I are too.
Yeah.
There you go. We'll get you the T-shirt.
Now,
I got one, actually. I got a T-shirt.
There you go.
Tonight, sorry.
But make sure.
One more thing I wanted to ask.
Wait. You asked that after. Just remember,
yeah.
the next time I see you, we have in Indiana. We have to hit Al's place.
Amore.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
My favorite. Yeah.
I've been just
hours
lately
now.
how I have to get back there.
I probably go there about once a week at least, but it's
You're
phenomenal.
lucky.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, put a plug in for Amore. Alberto
Amore in what part of Indiana? Indiana?
Floyd's Knobs, Indiana.
Floyd's Knob, Indiana.
Yeah.
You got to go check out Al, the best chef ever.
Absolutely
phenomenal. Just amazing, fantastic food paired with your favorite wine or bourbon or whiskey, especially if you want
bourbon and rye on the bar. So
yeah, so yeah, got to stop in there at Floyd's Knob Creek, Indiana. Amore.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yes, he is. And I know Al wants to see me again because I got a new bottle of bourbon for him.
All right. Yeah, we'll do it, man. Next time you come, let's plan on it. We'll go to Amore.
Looking forward to it.
Do you got the last question, Super Nash?
Yes, I do. When are we going to be able to get some chicken cock Glencairns and whiskey glasses? You got,
You know,
got to
I
get
don't know.
Brandon Barrel.
Duffy, I got to tell you what, the show I did with Martin and Lou Bryson and Liz,
Yeah.
they made me some crystal. I mean, I got crystal Glencairns that have chicken cock on them. Now, again, you guys got to understand, you know, we do 1,000 barrels of bourbon a year and 200 barrels of rye, and Jim Beam does over 500,000. So on the scale of things, we don't have the I guess the money to do those some of those other things like that. But I'd love to see it at some point. But yeah, we need to. I'll probably work on the market. We got a whole new marketing group now, so I'll probably twist a few arms and keep plugging their ear.
Yeah, just tell them, hey, we got a lot of chicken cock fans. I mean, I know people all the way out to California and all the way out to the east coast of South Carolina.
I'm just telling you, if we can have the Scotchy Bourbon Boys Glencairns, there's no problem with them actually having. Just tell them Scotchy Bourbon Boys have one, and we're just a little old podcast.
Yeah, and hey, you know, each time we drink chicken cock whiskey, we'd be glad to show it up there.
That's right.
You know,
all right,
make them available to us.
But thank you for making this available to me.
There you go, man.
Oh my! Now I feel bad for not having mine. Oh my God! Thanks, Jeff.
Right, I'm tiny. I've got all the hats.
Hey, he gave me one too. I just feel bad. I was rushing, and now I don't have it on, and can't plug chicken cock whiskey.
Yeah, my son and I wore the camo caps this year. We doubled on turkeys in Kentucky this year. We had two come in opening day, and I gotta send you a video, Martin. I don't think I sent you a video, did I?
Yeah,
no, you did.
We saw the video.
Please do that, Greg.
You saw it, yeah. Jeff saw it, but nah, you didn't. Yeah, I gotta send that to Martin.
Yeah, send it to me, Greg.
Yeah, okay.
All right, Greg.
Man, I've seen him down here, right here on my property, but I hadn't had a chance to go. I've just been so busy, but man, show me that video.
All right,
cool. Send it to me.
Cool.
All right, everybody. Remember, good
love you, brother.
Equals good friends, good times, and everybody from the Scotchy Bourbon Boys and Gregg Snyder, go out and live your life.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Cheers. Good night, everybody.
The Scotchy Bourbon Boys live at the Capital. What is that? Bourbon Capital Barbecue Challenge, June 10th and 11th. And the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, September 14th through the 18th, 2022.
Remember, www.scotchybourbonboys.com.
Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why.
Check out Chicken Cock Whiskey, Captain Spirits. They deliver nationwide.
The next whiskey bar. I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die.
Yeah.
Peace.
Good night.
All right. Sorry it took so long.